All right, guys, welcome back again. Oops. All right, guys, welcome back again. My name is Jimmy. This is going to be the second part of my ayahuasca journey. This is going to be in regards to my second ceremony. Again, I'm recording in Bogota, Colombia. I am in the botanical garden right now. So if you see people behind me, these are patrons of the garden. Something to note here, again, if you missed the first video, go ahead and click on the first ayahuasca part 1. This is I did the experience just to catch some of you guys up. I did my ayahuasca experience in Ecuador, Cuenca, Ecuador, at Sagrada. So I definitely recommend you guys check that out. And if you guys want to see more of my adventures, feel free to follow me on Instagram, the link down below. Anyways, let's get to it, right? This is a beautiful tree behind me. It's like almost like a Joshua tree. Anyways, so my second ayahuasca experience was with a shaman named Veronica. She had her son as her assistant, and then she also brought somebody else to be a firekeeper, right? If you guys again missed the first video, go ahead and watch that one because that kind of discusses the ceremony. For this, I'm just gonna go straight into it. My second ayahuasca ceremony, right? This one was interesting because if you remember from my first video, I told you guys that the first ayahuasca ceremony was pretty underwhelming, and a lot of us were new timers. So when we came to the second ceremony, we kind of figured, okay, like the medicine is actually a lot weaker than we thought. So we want to go, a lot of us, half the ceremony pretty much 2 cups deep, right? What that means is everyone gets 1 cup, 1 shot of medicine, and they kind of wait an hour and a half, and then they go up and get another one. For this particular ceremony, we started off with 2. So half of the people and half the participants, including myself, started off with 2 shots of ayahuasca, and boy, was that interesting. Because almost within an hour or 2, I was talking to God. I was talking to God, the higher power, my inner consciousness. I was talking to somebody because I was sent. If you guys remember from my first video, I was talking about traveling through space and then reaching error alert. And this ceremony, I traveled through space and I went straight into that white light. And I got to have a conversation with God before things just kind of went AWOL. Again, I'm looking at my notes, so if I see me looking down, it's just so I can see what's going on here. It's an airplane flying over. So the first thing that I saw when I was in that space, right, in that spiritual realm space, was giants. Giants as big as titans. It was like these shadowy figures, shoulder to shoulder, giants, and I couldn't really make out who they were or what they were, but that was like the first thing I saw. After that, I traveled through space some more, and then I had a conversation with Mother Ayahuasca, and Ayahuasca had brought me to a racetrack where there was a motorcycle and I was the motorcycle, and she was riding me like a motorcycle. We were going 70 miles per hour, and then she was just like, I remember asking her, like, hey, isn't it so much fun to be me? And then she was like, yeah, like, you're so free, you're so uninhibited, like, I love being you. Mind you, this is all happening in my head, but physically, I'm purging through like this kind of like dance, because everyone's seated, but purging expresses itself very differently. Like I told you in the first video, people throw up, people go take a shit, people start crying. I just started dancing, and it was just like this, and they were playing music, but I was just like, this inner music was playing, and I was just vibing to it, and I did this for like at least 3-4 hours. I was just dancing and just like vibing out. But if within myself, ayahuasca was riding me like a motorcycle, right? When me and her were having a conversation, she was just talking about how like I should be going harder and I should be doing more. And I was like, what do you mean? Like we're on a motorcycle. So I'm like, we're already driving 70 miles per hour. Like how much faster do we need to go? He's like, you need to be hitting like 130. Like you need to be giving so much more of yourself to the world. And she went into talking about how like people look to me for guidance and how I'm a warrior of light and a lot of this like spiritual woo-ha stuff that had I not experienced for myself, I would have just been thinking, I would have thought, this person's crazy. But and you probably still think I'm crazy, but it was so fascinating to me to have this conversation with her, with the mother. And another thing that I got to see was I went to this white corridor, right? Bright white, full of multiple doors. And then I came out of one door and I literally just decided to open up the next door. And then there she was. And then I don't remember what the question was, but I just remember her saying, I've always been there with you. I've always been right next door to you. You have never been so far away from me. You have, you're closer to me than you ever imagined. And that means I'm closer to God, right? Like I'm closer to God, I'm closer to the highest spirit, I'm closer to the higher power than I ever thought possible. And the reason why that matters is because before I came to the retreat, I was in a very dark space, mentally, spiritually. I didn't believe in prayer. I stopped believing in God or high powers or any of that stuff. I became kind of a hardcore man of science. And that just left me spiritually deprived. And just having her say that she was always there next to me throughout my entire journey was just so heartwarming. Because and then just kind of how we played out, right? Like a whole hallway, and then literally next door is God. Like I don't know how I don't know what other way to run home that metaphor than that visual, but almost immediately I got that. So that was really cool. I felt like me and God reconnected in that moment, and after that we blasted off through the galaxies, and we were doing all these like tricks and what they call the circus. I was at the spiritual circus with all these lights and all these shows and all these like tricks and acrobatics and everything was just like an experience. It was a psychedelic experience. And then we got down to the real stuff. So after we got down to after we got all the fun and games out of the way, I kind of got out of space, and then I went up to take another cup of ayahuasca. So right now we're looking at 3 cups of ayahuasca, and then that's kind of when the mother got down to business, right? That's kind of when we got down to brass tacks, and I got down to why I was there, right? To heal the pain that I was enduring. And then she showed me my purpose. She showed me that she showed me the things that I'll be able to accomplish. I understood why my name, my first and last name was flashing on the black screen. It actually wasn't a black screen, it was actually a book. My first and last name was on a best-selling book because I'm supposed to be an author. So that was very rewarding and exciting, and then she showed me some other stuff. Like she just told me how important I was to other people and like how necessary my work was or will be. And then she kind of like laid down the hammer. She was like, listen, you by the way that you're living your life, you will not make it to C40. There was just no other way around it. Like I kind of got a death sentence. She was like, there's just no way you make it past 40. And then I said, you know what, that's cool. I've never really been one to be afraid of death, so like it really didn't matter to me. But then she said, and your mother will grieve you. When I heard that, I said, show me. So then she took me to a chapel where our mother was on a bench wearing all black. alone, and she was just mourning me. She was just crying her eyes out, and I just got to bear witness to that. And the mother was just like, take it in, because you won't actually be there to console her when you're gone. And it felt so visceral, so real, that it almost seemed like a prophecy, right? If you can't take the good without the bad, so you can't say that you hope all these good things happen and then you don't want these bad things to happen. So when I saw it, I just took it for what it was, and I cried. I came back into my body, and I cried, and I cried, and then I cried some more. Just lots and lots of crying, lots and lots of sobbing. I went to sleep, woke up the next day, and I cried some more. Because it was just, to me, it was not about getting a death sentence, because again, I've never really feared death. I think it's just kind of knowing that my mom will grieve me, and like, I really love my mom really loves me, so to know that if this does come to pass, that she will grieve me was heavy. And that took a while for me to like accept, but overall it was still the best experience of my entire life, hands down. And from that experience, because I came in with two purposes for ayahuasca, I definitely got one, and I just needed the other one. So that video is coming up next. I also want to do the video on the San Pedro. So just again, to give you guys a recap, ayahuasca shows you a lot of visions and a lot of it speaks in metaphors, right? Almost like a dream. And then the San Pedro, the cactus medicine, another psychedelic, that kind of helps to solidify some of the visions and help to interpret some of the visions that you got in ayahuasca. So if you do ayahuasca, you do San Pedro to help try to clarify what some of these visions mean, right? So I will discuss that in the next video, okay? Again, subscribe and follow me on Instagram.